And welcome back. Well, a newly released study by the CDC reveals a shocking statistic that 1 in 5 U.S. adolescents are now pre-diabetic. That's putting them at risk of heart disease and diabetes. Our next guest believes this is due to one reason. That reason, sugar addiction. And that's resulting in insulin resistance. Joining us now is the creator of the South Beach diet, Dr. Arthur Agatston. Good morning to you. He has written a new book.
Great to be with you.
And his new book is the new Keto-Friendly South Beach diet. Thanks for joining us. So this is interesting, Doctor. You created the South Beach diet. So why update it now with making this keto-friendly version? What's the difference?
Well, there's really been an explosion of science since the original South Beach diet. And number one, we've learned a lot more about sugar addiction. Since 1980 and the introduction of high fructose corn syrup, Americans, including our teens and kids, are eating much more sugar than they were before. And we know from brain studies, MRI studies, that a majority of our kids are probably, and adults are probably addicted to sugar. This is increasing the levels of insulin in our blood even before they're diagnosed as pre-diabetic. And the insulin is making us sick mentally, physically, causing diabetes, heart disease, also asthma in kids and adults, Alzheimer's, cancer. It's really a disaster for our health. And every place we export the American diet to, from Dubai to Mumbai to Beijing, they're finding all the same problems: diabetes and chronic disease. And so we understand so much more about how this has happened and also how to reverse it.
It's true, and it's not just eating candy bars or drinking sugary drinks, it's even the sneaky sugars, right? You know, in our breads and our packaged foods, it comes in so many different ways. So how does this diet, let's break it down, how does the new keto-friendly diet differ from the original South Beach diet?
Well, for one thing, the first phase, the lowest carb phase, is prolonged from 2 weeks to 1 to many months. And that's because we realize, again with new science, that it takes a while to train the enzymes in our body to burn fat efficiently. For us to go from a fat storage mode to a really prolonged fat burning mode, and to get rid of the sugar addiction. And once this happens, you feel so good mentally and physically. Your mental focus is better. Your endurance and athletic performance is much better. And you feel so good, you want to continue to eat that way, and you get rid of the sugar addiction. So for me, even though I was a cardiologist, wrote the diet books, I was addicted to sugar, and I would fall victim and sort of fall off the wagon. Once I realized that it was not a lack of self-discipline, it was purely sugar addiction, I've got rid of my belly fat for 1.5 years. And I don't go back, not so much about the belly fat, which wasn't that much. I stay on it because I just feel so good mentally and physically. And that's what we're finding with our patients. And the majority of Americans, both young and old, are secreting too much insulin, and their blood sugars may be normal, but they're already feeling sick from too much sugar and bad carbohydrates in the diet.
Well, I love what you said. It's not a lack of self-discipline because we beat ourselves up. It's oftentimes this addiction that's going on in our body to the sugars. How does low carb increase metabolism? Because that's what everyone's afraid of. My metabolism just doesn't work. How does it increase it for us to work?
Well, it turns out there are very good studies done by David Ludwig from Harvard. And it turns out when we go low carb and we lower our insulin levels, among many great things, we create more brown fat. Brown fat has more mitochondria. I hope not to sound too complicated, but those are our batteries that burn fat. And when we have more brown fat, we're burning more fat and more calories day in and day out. So he showed that it's actually an excess of hundreds of calories a day that you will burn when you're low carb. And the other thing that we do in the new South Beach Diet book is we integrate 3 strategies: being completely in ketosis, which is a very low carb, super low carb diet with essentially 0 sugar, to keto-friendly, which was the first phase of our traditional diet, which is, we say it's keto-friendly, and it's a little bit more of a lifestyle, and also using the strategy of intermittent fasting. And often in our patients, we end up using all 3 strategies to really turn the diet into a lifestyle. But what keeps the patients on the diet is they feel so much better. They often call it a fountain of youth. Their friends are commenting about how much younger and better they feel. And we think it helps prevent chronic disease and aging, and not just diabetes and heart disease, but cancer, Alzheimer's, much of our chronic disease.
I think it's wonderful the work that you're doing. Where can people get your book?
On Amazon and all the usual places that you buy books, and our website is southbeachdiet.com.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining us, Doctor. I appreciate the conversation.
My pleasure. Thank you.
You too.